I think remembering my childhood years gives me the fondest memories. You can see me smiling as I'm thinking about the wonderful pictures in my mind. I grew up in the countryside, very close to the river, and our house was among the rice paddies. So seeing the farmers working in the fields with the water buffaloes, along with the fishermen coming home with basketful of fish in the sunset, is still something that I recollect very often. And life was not easy, quite harsh actually in the countryside. My mother getting up very early before dawn, trying to cook with the coal, and we have to help chop wood, and we're working with the well water. In those days were very hard working, I would say. But I think those hard work is what really kept me having the spirit, remembering that many people today in the world are still having those kind of hard lives, even harder, 10 times harder than the one I had growing up in the country.
We're going to China, right? We're moving to China.
一定要学会。
对呀，
一定要学会，他才能跟我讲话，在那个 iPad 上面讲话，每个礼拜可以讲话。
You know, they say a lot of things you learn in kindergarten in the first 10 years of your life sticks with you for the rest of your life, or that everything you needed to learn about life and how to live life you learn in the first few years. I think that in many ways that is true for me. One of the things that I remember vividly is because I grew up in a two-religion family. My mother was a Catholic and my father was a Buddhist, very devout Buddhist. But one thing I remember he said very with strong conviction and determination that thou shalt, we were going to do it, is that he felt strongly children should grow up with spirituality in their lives. Yet, which pathway do we choose? And he chose for us. As a Buddhist himself, he wanted the children to have spirituality, so he told us that we will go and follow my mother to the Catholic Church. So 3 of us children were directed to follow my mother's pathway. And although today I'm both actually a Catholic and a Buddhist, being a Baha'i, but one of the strongest things that he instilled in us, all of us children, is that always maintain and learn from the spiritual side of our being. And the strong orders that he gave us today about going to church every Sunday, even though he was a Buddhist and never went with us, not once. That was a very interesting thing, very unusual, but it just stuck in my mind all my life.
Because there was a 630 number that showed up.
630?
Yeah.
You could just look it up if you Google 630.
It does. It's a Skype number.
What's important to a person, in this case, I'm talking about myself, reflecting. There are so many values that was given to me from several sources. One, of course, from my parents, others from the schools, and thirdly, from my spiritual teachings. The values that I think helped anchor me so strongly to be a person who I feel can, at least of of service is, first of all, truthfulness. I've always been taught that without integrity, you have nothing. So in everything I do, I try to use that as the basis, as a foundation, which I grow everything. And the value of being honest to oneself, I have to be honest to myself first, and then to others, I think is central to what I try to be all the time. It isn't easy. Another value for me is service. I try to think about, as an educator, the reason why I became an educator is because I think I can contribute, serve the students, and it doesn't matter which hat I'm wearing, that I'm about trying to help the students have better lives, help those who are around me to have a transformation, if you will, that they can see the jewel inside of them. So service to others, I don't dare to say service to humankind, because to me is about the starfish story, one at a time. So what is it that I can do to serve one human being at a time? And each one makes a difference. That's why I'm frustrated all the time, because I'm always out of time trying to be with as many people and help as many people as I can. So service is a very central value to me. It gives me the meaning of why I'm here. Even though I do know I have a mission, I may not quite know what my mission on this plane of existence would be, but I know that as I try to touch people's lives, it will make a difference for me, because I know myself from my own experience that others who have tried to help me, others who have provided that service of giving of themselves to me, made all the difference to who I am and where I am today. They may not know it at all. And my counselor, Mr. Kurtz, almost 40 years ago, helped me so much at that time in doing a period where I had the most challenges in life, dealing with a new culture, language, life. I was living in poverty, all of that. And he gave me so much help and courage that I've asked him before how I can ever repay him for the service that he has done for me. And I remember his response to me always is that you can never repay me. The only way you can repay me is by helping others along, paying forward. And I guess in a way, until I end this life on earth, that I would try to, till my last breath, provide the service. And that is also a joy. You know, there is a Chinese saying that helping others is the foundation of happiness. And I found that to be so true. So helping others is that a value. Service to others is a value. And for me, my spiritual teaching as a Baha'i, I've been taught that service is a form for me of worship. And that's one of the values that I try to hold true in my daily life. And there are other virtues and values that, you know, I have this saying to live the life probably from the beginning of what it says, is something that is very important to me. So I try to put it by my door before I go out every day, and a reminder of myself, that what it means to live life as my exemplar Abdu'l Baha had told me to do. So there's a long list, actually. If you want me to complete it, it will take a few days to kind of go through what is really important about to live the life, and what really should be the anchors, and also what should be the guiding light for me on a daily basis.
你看有没有？你看有没有打电话？
Can you see that the cups are empty?
Cheers.
Who cheers with tea?
哎，
Cafe, cafe.
一会也是，还要喝了。
Give this woman an Oscar.
We are human beings, or are we spiritual beings? I think that is the question that we reflect. I know that someone has said we're actually spiritual beings trying to be human. So the vision for me is for everybody to live their actual being of being spiritual. And what does that mean? How do you operationalize what spiritual beings are like? And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm passionate about leadership development. Why? Because when you think of yourself as a leader, when you begin to act as a leader, and we can ask everybody, what are good qualities of a leader? And you'll find the answers to be very universal. They are inclusive, they are honest, and the list goes on. And what you'll find is that those lists of descriptors of what a good leader is actually qualities and virtues of a good spiritual human being. So my vision is thinking about how everybody will see themselves as a good, quality, excellent, benevolent, wise, giving leader for their own lives. So for me, leadership development is not about being able to lead an army of 1,000, but first begin by how do you lead as an individual, and then transcend that leadership skills and qualities and capacity to many others. So if you want me to think about the vision of humanity, that's where I start, is the leadership. How do you become a responsible human being, and what that means in leading our own lives, and expand that to global responsibility. What is it that you want for yourself? You want that for the whole global society. In our day, we say the global world. So my vision is to have everybody have that kind of a vision and balance. That's the other vision that I work toward, as well as hope for, and know that one day we shall achieve. And that is the balance of men and women. For me, being a woman myself, seeing and being taught, and I think the beautiful analogy of the two wings of a bird. So I do see many of the ills of the world today is caused by our humanity, the imbalance of the two wings, the women being the weaker one right now. Yet, if we built that wing strong, this bird could take off and fly. So that's the vision, and I see the bird flying, soaring, and that's the vision I have, is for one day when we can truly take off with both wings. And that's why a lot of my personal and professional and community life revolves around how to develop, assist empower, strengthen women as the other wing right now because of that vision.
Requires you to select whether it's Skype or...
Yeah.
I can't believe this. Like, I remember 3-4 years ago, you could barely text on your phone, and now.
Well, I talked a little bit about being a Baha'i as, you know, the genesis of coming from, born into a two-religion family and trying to make sense of that. And I think when Dan Isabel found me, and I say that in a very deliberate sense, is that there are many Baha'is in the world, and it's our responsibility to find them. When he found me, the teachings of the Baha'i faith actually already mirrors and coincide with many of the teachings that I have been taught. Some of the Buddhist teachings that I know about, as well as the Catholicism that I was inculcated with. I did not find any conflict. In fact, I found much of the congruency. So what really inspired me was the revelation that we are indeed one. And this oneness has many facets of its meanings. Not only one as humankind, but the oneness, it goes into 360 degrees of how we look at oneness as one humankind, as one God, as one world, and the unity of all things, the balance of all things in life. You know, for example, the teaching of the yin and the yang from my own culture, it is such a beautiful blend and inspiration of in the Baha'i faith as well. It's been said that by Baha'u'llah, until the East and the West come together in true unity, that the world will not be of one, and there is no world peace. So everything makes sense to me, and it's like a perfect fit. So the inspiration for me is really the central concept of unity. In this word, for me, it is my daily guidance is finding that unity within myself, as well as when I lead an organization, that until the entire organization is unified, that we cannot move forward and we will not be able to advance. You know, the concept of unity is so core to what I've been taught and what I know what the world needs from my own experience as a leader, not only for my own life, but as well as for an organization of 3,000 people plus. That one of the sayings of Baha'u'llah, the founder of Baha'i faith, that I prescribe to is so powerful, is the light of unity, that it could illumine the whole world. Think about that. Maybe it's unimaginable what that is about, but I know it because I've seen the light in where I've been. I've seen that light. I've felt the power, not only myself, but the entire institution has felt that power of one. And that's probably the single word that inspired me the most toward a vision that I try to work toward on a daily basis.
A lot of things. So I'm just wondering,
Well,
if
what
you try,
happened is
if you
I
hit,
dial like I normally do, and then all of a sudden it shows up.
My father is a very traditional Chinese father who insisted on excellence and has the want us to have the strictest discipline. I remember in childhood, he wanted us to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and recite and study. So every one of us had a buzzer. Oh, my brother was the first one at 5 o'clock with a long buzzer, and then my sister had a different buzzer. So I give you that example to show you that when we were very, very young, he demanded us to really be a scholar and study very hard. Hard work is very important to him, and that's my father.
You were texting all the time. Like I was getting all these random text messages from you, like my phone would be.
Parents, my father and mother probably is the ultimate yin and yang balance anybody could ask for. My father on one side is a strict disciplinarian, extremely traditional, held very true to the Chinese traditional standards. If you will, perhaps you could describe him as a tiger father, but not to the extent that we know about. And my mother on the other side is a very humanistic person. You see her and everything about her is just full of love and kindness, and she always has a smile. You know, if she didn't want you to have a very hard life. So she was the very opposite of my father. Therefore, I think I had the best balance of that. And the relationship they had is very close, yet my father, when I was growing up, many of the years growing up, my father really was not present. And that's the difference, because my father worked in Africa when I was growing up. So I didn't hardly see him but once every few years. And so my mother played an extremely important role in my life growing up. As you know, mothers are the first educators of children, so they have such influence anyways, but I think more so for me, that I've taken more, I think, from my mother, even though my father has also inculcated a long set of values and discipline in me. Our family was a very close-knit family because my parents were the only ones from their family came from China and landed in Taiwan, not by choice but by accident. So I grew up without any grandparents, uncle, aunts, cousin in Taiwan, besides my father, my mother, my older brother and sister. That was it. So as you know, in a Chinese culture where family and extended family is such a core of what we are about, for me, the core of that family was extremely small. I think that was one of the factors that our family of 5 was extremely close-knit.
就是这个吗？
你是麻将，这是你麻将专家了哈。
这个麻将不好玩，乱七八糟的他不要碰着他也跟你碰。
I think I have the best arrangement, having a brother and a sister. I get to know what having an older brother is like. He is like the protector and always been my teacher, taught me how to ride bikes and took me on bike rides and taught me how to swim. And my sister was my best friend growing up. And I think when we came to this country, she and I were the only ones who came in our teenage years, and I think it because of that experience we bonded even so much more strongly. So we're super glued together, my sister and I. We're soulmates. I think siblings gives you a lot of lessons in life in terms of your extended self growing up and seeing the different personalities at work. This is like an experimental lab growing up and being able to deal with the different personalities. Even though we grow up in the same family, have the same father and mother, yet magically we turn out so different. My brother is an engineer and my sister is a nurse. And for me, I think I'm the blending of the two. I was a math major and then later on have a psychology major. So I see a little bit of both of them in myself, if you would. And even though they are not living close by now with me, but still we communicate on a regular basis. And my sister and I, our families take vacation together.
Computers.
I mean, it doesn't fit in the CD tray.
Yeah.
Now yesterday we were having on Skype
昨天下午
Korea.
3点钟的时
Oh,
候，
how song?
3点钟。
哎，你讲一讲几个国家，
我
几个地方。
Dingzhou and I always wanted to make certain that we had a good, strong family. You know, work ethic was very important to us. So, you know, we knew when we had to work, we knew when we could play.
I think the person that my parents perhaps had visioned for me to marry as a Chinese educated girl was not the picture of Mark, whom I actually married. Because first of all, he's American, Caucasian, and secondly is that he is not only not older than me, he's younger than me. So there are so many factors in Mark that didn't seem to match, you know, what the perfect picture may be. And I think that's the miracle, is that our marriage was seemingly against all odds. But here we are 31 years later, and I can say that with 100% honesty that a good marriage takes work, but just like an arranged marriage, you could start from a stranger and yet let the love grow as the years go by. And I think for me, the happiness for me is to be able to grow our love together.
Dingzhou and I have been married for 31 years. And when we got married, it was very important for her and I that we recognized that this is something that is very long term. Marriage is not short term. But marriage is also the blending of both of the families together. And it's very important for us that we've blended that over 31 years over into something that is just wonderful.
Mark is, of course, quite a character. And I think that because our marriage worked for 31 years against statistics, I'm very proud of that, actually, is because we have a lot of things in common, the common ground in terms of our value systems and our beliefs, even though many other factors are not congruent from different sets of cultures and educational backgrounds, and even some of the philosophies in life different. But being able to always come back to the common ground which we stand made it a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, we had many of our disagreements in the past as well. So I think Mark tells me the reason why we got together is because of our two beautiful daughters. And when I say beautiful, I don't really mean the beauty they have outside, even though I think they are beautiful children. I'm a little biased, but it's because we have two biracial, bicultural, bilingual children. And to me, that's what a small example of what the future world should be like. Multicultural or blended, yet we try to inculcate in our children the best qualities of both of our cultures between the East and the West. So our family, you would say, is a very unique family of two cultures, and we try to live that way from our everyday life, eating Chinese food, to live in many other ways a Western family life as well. So the blending.
Your hunt and peck.
你现在
It
用
took
那
me
个
like
中
a
文，
month on Mario teaches typing
Huh?
to learn the keyboard. You
还不
can
太
do
会
it.
弄。
You know,
No.
I still have those.
Dingzhou and I have always, we are a bicultural family, two different cultures, so it was important for us to raise our kids into the two cultures so that they could understand both cultures. So kids went to Chinese school, and I kind of accompanied them and kind of learned the culture as well. And of course, Dingzhou being here in America, this is pretty dominant culture, so it's trying to learn both at the same time.
Congratulations on everything, on touching everybody's lives, and thank you for being a wonderful mother even through all the hardships and difficulties. And I will be there for you as you were there for me.
I guess I see a different side of her. People at work get to see her being very professional, but I get her when she comes home and she wants to relax, and I get the goofy, funny side that nobody else gets to see. She's so much of a comedian. She makes me laugh all the time. Most of the time she doesn't even know it. So I don't know, I guess that's a side of her that I'm very privileged to see that other people don't get to see of her.
My two girls have been my best teachers in life. Watching them grow up, even though I was supposed to be the guy, but I think in many times this is cyclical. As I watch them grow, and their trials and tribulations have been my mirror of myself. And that's been a ongoing process. I never knew what a joy it is to be a mother. And till this day, though, I think that's the hardest school to go through, is graduating from being a parent. There's so many things that you had to practice. Now I'm practicing detachment, that they are growing into their own adulthood, their own being, and allowing them to watch their life, conduct their life. It's probably one of the things. So I'm still learning. 26 years later today, my older daughter is 26 and my younger one will turn 24 this year. But I encourage everybody to have kids. Those who don't want to have children, and many young people today have chosen not to have children. I think it's so sad because my father told me, he begged practically for me to have children sooner, because we were married 5 years before we had children, and that was by choice. And he said that you stopped growing when you don't have children, to continue on that life journey. And I think he is so true, because I'm still growing today, growing with my daughters. And you raise them the same way, but one is so different from the other. And one of the best things, I think, for my children, watching them having a set of grandparents to be with. So now, after my father has passed, my mother is here living with us. And the 3 generations together is something that I have always dreamed about all my life, because not having grandparents that growing up, I wished upon them to have that 3 generational experience. So especially today, living together under the same roof has been a true blessing, that we get to have fun together. And now my daughters have become my best friends in life, in addition to being my teachers.
I tried. You've got to know where they are on the keyboard. Dingjo has always been a family person. She's always been involved with her family and always been involved with the community, and sees the family as more than just the 4 of us together. It's also her parents and my parents and the community, and everybody who's part of that is part of her family.
Last summer we took a family cruise up to Alaska, and one of our stops was Hoona. And in Hoona, Alaska, they have the world's tallest, fastest zip line. And my sister and I went on it. My mom, my dad, not so much. My mom's horribly afraid of heights, so she didn't join us for that one. But my sister and I had a great time coming off the zip line. We just happened to run into my parents, who were going to some other function. And we were so excited. Mom, it was so great. Thank you so much. You gotta try it. It's so much fun. And my mom was like, well, isn't it really high up there? So we had to be very reassuring. No, no, Mom, it's fine, it's fine. Try to downplay it a little bit, and somehow convinced her to go on the zip line. And we were watching, my sister and I were watching from the bottom, where they have a monitor, TV closed monitor on the people at the top of the ride, and we thought that she would get up there and see how high it was and just chicken out. We were taking bets, totally. But there she was at the top, and got strapped in, and next thing I know, here she comes screaming down the zip line, and I couldn't believe that she did it, and she just looked so happy and so excited, and I was so happy that she got to experience that. And that's just, you know, one more thing that she's teaching me, that you're never too old to go try something new that you never thought you would do in your life before. And you're never too old to try something new and conquer a new fear, and just let loose and have some fun.
I tell you, when I think about the family, I think about our society actually in general. Why we're hurting as people. It's coming back to the family, because family is like the cradle of a person's soul. It's there for a support system, for nourishment, and it takes work. For me, the family is not just your blood relatives, your children or your parents, which is the most central and core to a person's well-being, but also the extended family. Even though I didn't grow up in an extended family, but coming from a culture that the extended family was the neighbor for us. The aunts and uncle that we call aunt and uncle, but who weren't really related by blood. That kind of extended, that community family. So for me, the vision of family, it extends beyond the blood relations, but to the community as one larger family. But it does start with your blood relatives, from your parents, your children, your siblings. That's the family core. For me, that's what holds me together. That is the super glue that holds my life together, because when I come home, there's my husband, my children, and my mother's support in being able to process the day together and talk about what's important in our life. And I think, to me, that's the family core, is that a safety net where we could talk about anything and everything. And the value that comes behind that is really all of us as human beings need the connectedness. The family value is being able to weave that net that's closest to us, and they are the netting that weaves our life together, and they are the safety net. And the value is being able to connect at the most intimate level, because when you go outside, maybe others don't really know you, but in your family, you cannot escape that, right? And we all know each other's warts and pimples, and we know each other's strength as well as weaknesses. We know where the weak spots are. Yet, I think the beauty of it is that in spite of all of that your family know about you, the love persists, and the love could actually grow. To me, that's the beauty of the family, is that it's like a central lab for practicing love. If you can love someone when you know everything about them, all the good as well as the bad, then how can we extend that family, beyond within the four walls of the home, and then to our community? So family, to me, is the practice lab for love, in spite of all odds.
Go ahead.
I learned a lot about health from both my parents and my children, actually. I don't think I would have paid as much attention to how important health really is until I watched the aging process of my parents. I've learned that the best medicine is actually in the food you eat. I talked to dozens of Chinese traditional herbal doctors. This is what they're saying, is that the first medicine is actually the food you eat. What you put in is how you will grow, how you will glow, or how your light is dim. Not only the food you eat, but the other part of the balance, the equation, is the exercises. And exercise, to me, has both sides. It's the mental exercise and the physical exercise together. Mental exercise, for me, is the daily prayers, the meditation, and what kind of reading that you're doing, and what kind of deeply reflective thinking that we're doing. At the same time, the physical exercise is probably what I'm not very good at, because just like the mental exercise, really put it on the calendar has been a challenge for me. But I try the best I can to do a little bit each day. It's so funny that I used to make joke of my father's meals, and yet as I age, I find that my meals beginning to look more and more like his. For example, the oatmeal that I used to kid him all the time is what I have on a daily basis now. Old-fashioned organic oatmeal added with black sesame seeds and brown flax seeds with fruits, blueberries and strawberries and apples and bananas is what my father used to eat all the time. And now it has become my daily healthy breakfast. And I also have learned a lot from my good friends who understand a lot more about nutrition, that how important it is to look at the way in which our ancestors actually have the healthy diet toward more fruits and vegetables. So this is what my goal is, to eventually wean myself off of meat completely and become 100% vegetarian, because I do notice the difference. When I eat differently, I feel differently, I think differently. And when I'm not following a good, healthy, nutritious diet, my effectiveness as a person, as a being, is not the same. I try to remind myself, actually, at every meal, when food appears in front of me, to consciously make the decision to choose the right kind of food, because what the outcome will be. After all, our physical body is the temple of our soul. So I am reminded that make sure I pay attention to what kind of temple I build for my soul. Well, I've been such a workaholic. Rest and relaxation is something that I really have to work at, learn how to do. Others may not have to learn how to work, learn how to work hard. For me, learning to relax, learning to have fun, it's a different story, because I don't separate the two, actually. When I'm working, I feel relaxed. When I'm working, I'm actually having fun. So to separate the two activities has been a challenge for me. But I made a conscious decision to learn from others. For example, I went out consciously to a movie. Now that is a very rare occasion for me, but I actually have fun with my daughters and with my nephew, and understand that that is also a different kind of having fun. Because to live a totally balanced life, we need to look at it from a 360, that everything about life is important, and all work and no play isn't a balanced life. And what I find is, now that I'm trying to have a different life, a new chapter, so those are the things that I'm learning to do, to have more time now for prayers, to have the luxury of an extra hour a day to do my readings that I always wanted to do, whether it's my Baha'i books or books that I just enjoy as a novel. It's not something that I used to do. And so these are new to me. Having fun is not usually typically a challenge, but for me it's actually a challenge to have that fun-loving spirit. It doesn't mean that I don't have fun every day. It's just a different definition and a different set of activities of having fun. I've always liked to walk. I'm not a runner, and I was inspired by this old Korean couple at the shoe repair shop with a lot of trophies in their store, and I asked them about when they start running the marathon to win all these trophies, and she told me she started at age 60. That was amazing to me. So they were my inspiration, and now I'm embarking on a new life. I said, I am going to walk the marathon even though others will be running, and sign up for the Surf City 13-mile marathon to be a new challenge for me. And I find that very exciting. So I will be doing a lot more walking to get trained and ready for this wonderful journey. When I think about home, I think about the people inside the home. There are so many different kinds of definitions of home. I guess if you think about a place where you live, and I've lived in many different kind of houses, all the way from where I was born in a very remote, simple village, in Taiwan, to the houses in Africa where I lived, and I lived in the worst of the ghettos in Dayton when I came, where description of it will make you just be shocked, to now I think, I have a very comfortable home here in Huntington Beach. How many people in the world have habitat like this? But what I look at is the place is not as important as the people, the home concept of what you make of the environment. You could live in a multi-million-dollar home, but the environment may not be as sunny as this. You could be living in a grass hut, and the warmth could burn the fire in your heart. So I try to really bring the warmth, like the sunshine we're enjoying now, to the house, to warm up the hearts of the people who are important to you. And that's what home is to me.
Okay, perfect. All right.
I live in one of the best environments anybody could wish for in the whole world, in Southern California. And having lived other parts of the world and country, I don't take this for granted, because I know full well that the water that's going to help the flower grow and beautify our environment is at a scarce commodity, that it is a world issue. I realize the good air that I'm breathing here, less than a mile from the ocean, is not the same air that many are able to breathe here in the world. And so as an educator, I constantly bring in the concept of responsible global citizenship, meaning that we must protect, we must share, we must be responsible for the whole concept of sustainable environment. And coming from a culture that has lived thousands of years, I'm thankful that I can think in those kind of concepts of sustainability, that our environment has been here, given down from our ancestors, that we must protect the sacredness, the beauty, and the healthiness of this environment for many, many more generations to come. It is our responsibility, and we must respect that responsibility and take it very, very seriously.
然后出牌吃一个，不一定，有时候它乱七八糟的，这个太大了。定佐呢，她是我最小的一个女儿，也是我最心疼的，所以我一直生活都跟她在一起，大部分时间都在一起。现在尤其我这个老年的时候呢，我们就住在一起。他对我十分的那个照顾，无微不至，所以我心里呀非常的感激他。台北的，对不对？哎。哦。这个台北的打法。那你能够看得到你吗？他在事业、家庭方面呢，都是 很幸福的一个人。所以呢，他幸福，我也幸福。所以我这个晚年的日子过得都非常愉快。好吗？现在刚好太阳照到这里。哦，那个是一段最快乐的日子。这个我和定若啊，在2009年，我们一起回中国，回到我的家乡昆明，跟我的家人呀一起欢聚。我们大家合起来大概有40多人，每天都在一起。然后我们又到大理去旅游，哇，过得非常愉快。那我的家人呢，看到我这个女儿也是很疼爱的。那我们就一起去旅游，天天在一起讲讲家常，讲讲我们小时候的故事给他听。我姐姐呢已经是90岁的人了，所以还能看到我们回去，都非常高兴。他们那边也是个大家庭，我们都见了面，他们都希望我们经常回去。可是呢，这个定若的工作非常忙碌，他没有时间呢，我也没有办法回去，因为我需要一个同伴，我一个人单独走了也是很不方便。所以我们希望明年春天，我是希望还回去一次。那个定若呢，他已经答应我了，也许3月底我们就可以成行了。这是我等待的一件事情。